Welcome back, children, to the second part of our Class 10 History, fourth chapter, the Age of Industrialization. In the previous video, we have learned the concept of proto-industrialization. Tried to know why the merchants in England moved towards the countryside. Also about the topic like the trade guild, how powerful they were in the urban areas. Then why the peasants agreed to work for the merchants, and also about the relationship established between the cities and the countryside. I hope, children, you all remember that. Now in this part of the chapter, we will be seeing the topics like the coming up of the factories and the pace of the industrial change. In that, we will try to get our answers for when were the factories established in England? What was the symbol of the new era? Then the inventions that increased the efficiency of the production process. Further, we will also cover the topics to know how rapid was the process of industrialization. And does industrialization mean only the growth of factory industries? So now we will see the coming up of the factory. This part will explain the transition of a phase from the proto-industrialization to the setting up of the factories. The earliest factories in England came up by the 1730s. But towards the late 18th century, the number of factories multiplied. Cotton became the first symbol of the new era. Its production boomed, that is, increased in the late 19th century. In the beginning, that is, in the period of the 1760, Britain was importing about 2.5 million pounds of the raw cotton for its cotton industries, or we can say textile industries. But by 1787, this import exceeded to 22 million pounds. This increase in the import of the cotton was linked to a number of changes within the process of production. What were they? Let us see that. During the 18th century, there were a series of inventions which led to an increase in efficiency, we can say effectiveness, at each step of the production process, like carding, twisting and spinning and rolling. Lot of improvements were done in the process. Now here also you can see, children, the first image, it is explaining, or it is an image of carding, where the cotton is, sorting of the cotton is done to remove the fiber, to segregate the fiber. And then the other image is about the twisting and spinning, right? And then the rolling of the cloth is done. Clear? So in this way, lot of improvements were done in this process. Clear, children? Therefore, they enhanced the output per worker, enabling every worker to produce more, and also made the possibility of producing stronger thread and yarn. Now, this is Richard Arkwright, and this one is the cotton mill that was created by Richard Arkwright. Clear? And such kind of machines were produced by or invented by these people. Clear? Now in the previous part of the chapter, we have seen how the cloth production was spread all over the countryside and carried out within villages, or we can say within village households. But now the new costly machines were purchased, set up and maintained in the mills. Now within the mills, all the process were brought together under one roof, that is, in one place, and management. As a result of this, it allowed a more careful supervision over the production process. A watch could be kept on the quality and also the regulation of the labor, that is, supervising the labor, which was a difficult process when the production was in the countryside. During the early 19th century, the factories increasingly became an intimate part of the English landscape. That is, wherever you could see in England, you could find only the factories everywhere. Therefore, it was visible to everyone that imposing new mills seemed to be the power of new technology. People were amazed to see the development. They concentrated their attention more on the mills, we can say big factories, almost forgetting the by-lanes, that is, the small factories and the workshops where the production was still going on. Now, we will see how the pace of the industrial change take place. Were there any changes in the traditional industries due to the steam engine? Why were the traders and the industrialists reluctant to use new technology? So children, when we are talking about the pace of industrial changes, does it really mean the rapid change in the process of industrialization? Or does it mean only the growth of the factory industries? First of all, you have to understand that the most dynamic industries in Britain were only cotton and metals. That is, they were the dominating industries in Britain from the first half of the industrialization up to the 1840s. Cotton was the leading sector with the industries growing at the rapid pace. Similarly, after 1840s, iron and steel industry led the way. So now which industry became a leading industry in Britain? Yes, it was iron and steel. The demand for iron and steel increased rapidly due to the expansion of the railways in England from 1840s and in the colonies from 1860s. Do you know, children, by 1873, Britain was exporting iron and steel worth of 77 million pounds. That is double the value of cotton exported. Now the point was, the new industries could not easily displace the traditional industries. That is, though the modern industries started to set up in England, but it could not replace the traditional industries, as even at the end of the 19th century, less than 20% of the total workforce was employed in technologically advanced industrial sector. Now you must be wondering why. Because most of the workforce was engaged in the traditional industry, and that was the textile sector. That is, the large portion of the output was produced not within the factories but within the domestic units. That is, at home, or we can say a home-based production, like the proto-industrialization. Now the third point was that traditional industries too had seen the development, though it was not in pace of the change with the steam-powered industries. But it did not remain entirely stagnant either, though the innovations seemed to be very ordinary and small. But they remained as a base for the growth of many non-mechanized sectors, such as food processing, building, pottery, glasswork, tanning, furniture making, and the production of implements. Now, the fourth point was, though the society could see the technological changes, it did not spread dramatically across the industrial landscape. Like, for example, if the innovation has taken place today, can you expect it to spread it tomorrow itself? No, it is not possible. Similarly, the technological changes that started taking place, it occurred very slowly. There were some reasons behind it. Like, the new technology was very expensive, and the merchants and the industrialists were very cautious about using it, like how effective it would be. Secondly, the machine often broke down and the repair was costly. Therefore, we can say that they were not as effective as their inventors or the manufacturers claimed it to be. For example, if we consider the case of the steam engine. Now, this was the first steam engine made by Newcomen. Clear? Now, it was just a raw machine and it needed a lot of improvement. And this improvement was brought by James Watt, and this was an improved steam engine. Now, he not only improved the steam engine, but he also patented this new engine in the year 1781. Children, patent means getting a sole right to exclude others from making, using, or selling the same inventions. Clear? The industrialist friend of James Watt, that is Matthew Boulton, he manufactured the new model. But unfortunately, for many years, he could not find any buyers. Children, it is said that at the beginning of the 19th century, there were about 321 steam engines all over England. And out of those, 80 were used in the cotton industries, 9 in the wool industries, and the rest in mining, canal works, and the iron works. Steam engines were not used anywhere else in any other industries till much later in the century. Therefore, we can conclude that the most powerful new technology that enhanced the productivity of the labor was slow to be accepted by the industrialists. That is, the mechanical development was taking place in the society, but the industrialists resisted to purchase it. And I hope, children, you remember the reason behind it. What were they? Expensive machines, they often broke down, and also the repair of the machines was costly. Right, children? Historians now have recognized that the typical worker in the mid-19th century was not a machine operator, but the traditional craftsperson and the laborer. So, children, in this part of the chapter, we have seen when the factory was established in England, what was the first symbol of the new era. Also, we have seen a series of inventions in the 18th century which could increase the efficiency of the production process, like the cotton mill of Richard Arkwright, then the steam engine of James Watt. We could also understand that the factories became an intimate part of England. Then we saw through the process that the cotton was a leading industry in the beginning. But later, iron and steel led the way due to the expansion of the railways in Britain and as well as in the other colonies. We also saw that though there was a large-scale production of textiles, but it was in the domestic units rather than in the factories. Then we saw that though the new technologies were setting up, but the changes were very slow in the society, as the industrialists were very cautious about the expensive machines and also the costly repairs. Now, in the next part of our chapter, we will see why the wages were low in the Victorian Britain, why industrialists were not ready to buy the machines, why labor demand was seasonal in many industries, why many products were still handmade ones, and also why the upper class people preferred the handmade products over the machine made ones. So, children, go through the chapter well till we meet in the next class. Till then, have a good day.